The world is in the internet age of the Industrial Revolution 4.0. The light of civilization covers humanity on Earth, except for one place. This dark area in the satellite image captured from the ISS, none other than North Korea, the most mysterious country in the world.
Imagine one day, super spy Ethan Hunt, after paying off all his karma in the latest Mission Impossible movie, suddenly receives a call from headquarters saying,
"Hello, Ethan. We have this target in North Korea. We need you help bring to the US."
After referencing some films like Crash Landing on You or The Interview, our super spy realizes that this seemingly impossible mission is actually as easy as eating cake. But no, while humanity can set foot on the moon, explore Mars, compared to those feats, escape from North Korea is even more difficult and dangerous than going to Mars. Why is that? In this video, let's find out what methods North Koreans have actually used to escape from their country and their real experiences.
Let us know your opinion in the comments section and consider subscribe to help channel grow.
Put aside the terrifying rumors, whether true or fake, about North Korea, spread by Western media and films, like North Koreans starving to death, as naive as soulless machines, or foreigners visiting North Korea always being monitored and not allowed to talk to locals. The truth is, there exists a phenomenon of North Korean citizens illegally crossing borders into other countries for economic, political, or family reunification reasons.
Over the past decades, it's estimated that more than 30,000 North Koreans have defected to South Korea. But this number has dropped dramatically to only 229 people in 2020, after Pyongyang closed the border with China as a preventive measure against COVID-19.
One of the most famous defectors is Park Yeon-mi, who made a notable speech at the Young Leaders Summit in Ireland in 2014. She has shared ways to escape from North Korea. The first method is crossing the demilitarized zone DMZ between the two Koreas. In 2019, former US President Donald Trump made a historic moment when he crossed the border between the two countries. In the video, he easily stepped across the line, but in reality, for ordinary people, getting close is a distant dream, let alone sticking a toe across this line. As a certain singer once said, "The farthest distance between two people is one circuit around the Earth." While I think South Korea and North Korea are only separated by this red-blue line, as if they are far apart in the Milky Way.
Since the Armistice Agreement in 1953, this area became one of the most heavily guarded places in the world, with a length of 248 kilometers and about 4 kilometers wide, along the 38th parallel dividing the Korean peninsula. There are over 1 million landmines, barbed wire fences, numerous security cameras, and guards on both sides. Both sides deployed hundreds of thousands of guards, equipped heavy weapons, and if North Korean forces detect any movement in the DMZ, they will open fire immediately. Due to the no-fire agreement, both sides can only fight with their mouths by use loudspeakers to propaganda, to demoralize the opponent and attract defections. However, it's very rare for North Korean soldiers to defect across the DMZ. Before being assigned border guard duties, these soldiers have demonstrated strong loyalty to Pyongyang. The most famous exception occurred on November 22, 2017, when a North Korean soldier replicated a scene from the movie Fast and Furious by driving a jeep straight south and escaped to South Korea. He was fiercely pursued by 4 comrades and was shot a total of 40 rounds, including 5 rounds that hit his body. After his vehicle had trouble at the border, the North Korean soldier then switched to playing the role of Usain Bolt, sprinted across the border, and fell into the arms of South Korean soldiers. They found him seriously injured 50 meters south of the border and took him to the hospital. The funniest thing is, after recovered, he insisted on listening to K-pop to believe that he had set foot in South Korea.
The second method that defectors can apply is swimming to South Korea. After all, this area is just a peninsula, with China and Russia above. Both sides are sea, while the area below is the DMZ, bordering the Yellow Sea or East Sea. An ideal scenario for adventurers is to take a boat to South Korea, similar to fishermen, for example. However, most North Koreans don't have money to buy boats, and they are also not allowed to buy boats.
Even if they are fortunate to have means of transportation, they are not allowed to cross the maritime border. In 2021, a young man proved himself to be Aquaman in real life by wearing diving gear and duck feet, swam for 6 hours to cross the border and reached the eastern coast of South Korea. The young man left all his belongings behind before passing through drainage channel under a barbed wire fence along the coastline. This guy probably had an aura of the main character, because CCTV captured his image 8 times over more than 3 hours, and the alarm sounded twice, but the border guards didn't notice him, and he was only caught while sleeping with a face mask hanging on a tree. South Korea is always the #1 destination for defectors, because the country's policy is always open to accept North Koreans as their own citizens. Those who want to leave North Korea can choose the third method is go to Japan, a country separated from North Korea by the Sea of Japan or the East Sea, as referred to by North Korea and South Korea. With an area of over 1 million square kilometers and an average depth of 7 meters, the sea not very deep, so it's the easiest way to go to Japan. However, crossing the sea also very dangerous, because this area often experiences storms, even tsunamis. Normally, the water is warm, but in February, the average temperature is around -20 C degrees in the north and 5 C degrees in the south. Perhaps due to the difficulty of the game is too high, so there have been very few people crossing this route in recent years. In 2016, a young man addicted to watching Korean movies was hunted by the authorities, so he decided to follow Columbus in search of America by climbing on a wooden boat and cross the sea. When he approached Senzaki, this young man jumped into the sea, hugged a plastic barrel, and drifted ashore. Finally, he was asked by the police while wandering like a lost deer on the road. Because Japan doesn't have official diplomatic relations with North Korea, so refugees will be handed over to South Korea. The fourth method is escape to Russia. A country shares a 17 kilometers border with North Korea. These areas are rugged and dangerous, with soldiers from both countries closely guarding the border. Most importantly, in general, Russia doesn't welcome defectors from North Korea. In theory, Moscow could grant asylum, but they must undergo a very strict approval process, and the deportation rate is very high. Therefore, if someone manages to overcome all the high mountains, deep valleys, and luckily avoid being caught by border guards, the best option is to seek asylum at the South Korean consulate. In general, escape to Russia is not a feasible option, so the fifth method is try to cross 1,000-kilometer-long land border with China, the only trade gateway between North Korea and the outside world. Border security is described as quite loose, with many sections lacking border patrols. Tumen River on the China-North Korea border is quite shallow in summer and freeze in winter. Therefore, China is the most common route for North Korean defectors. Among them, Park Yeon-mi family also included. She was born in the city of Hyesan, near the China border. Her father was arrested for smuggling goods from China, then was forced to do hard labor. After her sister escaped to China first, Park and her mother quickly followed suit, with hope the whole family would reunite. But she didn't know that, when she crossed the border, a Chinese man, one of the brokers, attempted to rape her. Her mother wanted to save her, so she sacrificed herself, then sold as a wife to a Chinese farmer. Due to coercion by the brokers, Park endured a life of constant physical abuse, even joined a human trafficking network, luring other North Korean women to defect. Finally, the trafficker kept the promise, buy back her mother, and brought her father to China. However, a week later, Park's father passed away. The family didn't dare to hold a funeral, so they buried him on a nearby mountain for fear of punishment. This is also the common situation for North Korean defectors in China.
Beijing doesn't consider them as refugees, but as illegal economic migrants. The Chinese government has repeatedly arrested and deported defectors back to North Korea. As for Chinese citizens, if they shelter defectors, they will face imprisonment. There is information that those deported often face severe punishments, included torture and imprisonment in labor camps, but I don't know how accurate it's. So China is not a safe haven, but a transit point for refugees to other countries, one of which is Mongolia.
Another destination is Thailand. Although North Korean defectors are still considered illegal immigrants,
But the Thai government has made a rather humorous move by handing them over to the South Korean embassy instead of returning them to North Korea. Therefore, defectors don't need to struggle to escape, but instead surrender immediately upon set foot in Thailand. However, the drawback of this option is the distance. Defectors will have to walk many days, cross dense forests in Laos, and run in the dark to avoid border patrol. To enter Thai territory, they will travel by boat or canoe to cross Mekong River. What creatures lurk there? Only God knows, not to mention the criminals. The cost for border brokers has significantly increased, from $3,000 to $4,000 in the early 2000s to around $20,000 or more in recent years.
That's what I know about the ways to escape from North Korea. If you in this situation, would you dare to try one of these methods? Let us know your opinion in the comments section, and consider subscribe to help the channel grow. Now goodbye and see you later in the next sections.